all the assembled monks here, revered monks, and all the esteemed audience, my namaskars and good wishes to all of you. This program has been organized to commemorate the 100 years of this ashram, Ramakrishna Mission, Patna. And I have been asked to come here and share my ideas on Swami Vivekananda. And nothing can be a matter of a greater honor than being asked to talk about this great luminary called Swami Vivekananda. Today morning I came from Calcutta. Just in the noon I reached here. In the Calcutta airport, after having checked in, as I was moving towards the gate, a devotee came to me and he made pranams to me and he told, Swamiji, you have done a brilliant work. Actually, it is not me, but he was referring to the recent revised edition of the letters of Swami Vivekananda which we have brought out. We means Advait Ashram has brought out. So he was congratulating me for that, saying that, Swamiji, this is the best gift that in the recent times Advait Ashrama has given to the humankind. And he was praising the way the letters have come out, the perfect way of the research which has gone into it, and he was talking about the impact of these letters on his own mind. Now this is one instance. I'm just keeping these points and I want to connect it with the power of Vivekananda's ideas. After that, I came and I sat just close to the boarding gate. Second event took place. Interesting, today morning these two events took place and I was just wondering, a man sitting just next to me, a middle-aged person, he was sitting and reading a book. And I saw the cover. The book was The Four Yogas of Swami Vivekananda. He was reading this book very intently. And a little while later, looking at my dress, he guessed that definitely I am a monk of the Ramakrishna Mission. So he came and started talking to me. Why am I saying this? When Vivekananda was thinking about whether he should start this organization or not, first of all, let me make one point very clear. This organization was not started by Swami Vivekananda. It was started by Sri Ramakrishna himself. First important point. But it was Swami Vivekananda who gave an institutional and a formal shape to it. He worked in that direction. So, now the greatest gift, as I said, it is this organization which has been given to humanity. Why? Now if today that person is reading the four yogas of Swami Vivekananda, if the other person who came and wished me, congratulated me means Advait Ashram, for having brought out the letters of Swami Vivekananda, you tell me, would these things have been possible without this organization? It would not have been possible. So, when Swami Vivekananda was thinking to start this organization, he was in a dilemma. A kind of a conflict was going on in his mind and he was thinking that whether I should start an organization or not. And he says in his letters, I know if I start an organization, to some extent the ideal will get diluted. And at the same time, without an organization, these great ideas cannot be spread. And he deliberately chose the second option because he wanted these great universal scientific ideas the ideas of the Vedic Sanatana Dharma, which his great master had demonstrated in his life. He wanted these great ideas of the great Vedic Sanatana Dharma to reach every corner of the globe. Because he knew very clearly that these ideas alone will, actually speaking, elevate the human being to the highest level of perfection. Because it is the most scientific, verifiable system of thought. Every claim that the Vedas make, it is all verifiable. It is not just a belief system. It is a system which can be verified by any person, anywhere on the globe, no matter which religion he or she follows, no matter to which country he or she belongs, no matter to which language he or she speaks. To have started this institution, and through this institution, his ideas are slowly spreading. I was just thinking, that man who was sitting next to me and reading this book, just imagine if 140 crore of Indians, if in every Indian's hand, if there is Vivekananda's book. I request all of you to exercise your imagination a little bit. Just imagine 140 crore, especially the young, without becoming convinced that God is the only reality, the rest everything is false. Similarly, we can say that none can read Swami Vivekananda's ideas without getting foundationally, radically transformed. That is the power of Swami Vivekananda's ideas, and it is these ideas which are spreading today through this great institution called Ramakrishna Mission. 2 points. 2 points which is very nationally relevant, which can be looked at through the lens of Swami Vivekananda's ideas. If you see, in one place Swami Vivekananda says, very beautiful. See, it is very much timely and very seriously relevant to our own times. Swami is saying that what we have to do, the present day India, he says, and it is a prescription. He is saying that look back as far as you can. I repeat, he is saying that look back as far as you can and drink deep from the fountains of great ideas left behind. Swamiji is asking us to look back as far as we can and drink from those eternal fountains, and then what we have to do? Swamiji said, then look forward and march forward and make India greater, brighter, and even much more higher than she ever was in the past. This was Vivekananda's prescription as far as what we have to do as far as the citizens of this country is concerned. First thing he is asking us to look back. Look back into the history, what India was in the past. And after having looked back, he is saying that let us then look forward. Look forward, march forward, and make India even more greater than she ever was in the past. In one place, he is predicting about India's future. It is so thrilling and interesting. So let's say today it is very easy for us to talk about all these things looking back. But certain things which Vivekananda has remarked, it is very surprising that how could this great man speak in this way? Now we are talking about the 1890s, the last decade of the 19th century, and we know what was the condition of India at that time. A slave country, a country which had almost lost its confidence about its own glory and greatness, a country which was completely steeped in darkness in every sense of the term. In that situation, when there was not a single ray of hope, this sannyasi alone I'm talking about, he didn't have any backing, no political backing, no institutional backing, nothing. This lone sannyasi was standing there and he was making some great predictions. Predictions about what? The glory of what India is going to be in future. I am talking about 125 years back. Today we are here in 2025. Today we are seeing some wonderful changes coming about in this country. But about this, Vivekananda had predicted 125 years back. How could he do that? What made he say all these things? Vivekananda had said at that time that in future India is going to be so glorious that all its past attainments will pale into insignificance. Just look at the precision of this person's prediction. He is saying that in future India is going to be so great that all its past attainments are going to pale into insignificance. Now you just look into the glory of India in the past. India was the richest country in the world. We know this. I don't have to go and dilate about it. The one term which is very commonly used is Sone ki chidiya, the golden bird. जहाँ डाल डाल पर सोने की चिड़िया करती है बसेरा, वो भारत देश है मेरा, वो भारत देश है मेरा. This we have sung as a school going children. That land where golden birds perched on the branches of these trees, that was this great land of India. Means it was so wealthy and so prosperous, not only materially prosperous, my dear children, especially I'm addressing the students here. Not only materially prosperous, it was prosperous in every sense of the term. Ideologically, spiritually, and in every sense. That was the glory of India. Now, I want to touch upon a very important point here. Referring to this past India, Swami Vivekananda has referred, he has used certain terms. Those who have read Swami Vivekananda's complete works and his talks will understand this very easily. Very often Swami Vivekananda refers to India as Aryavarta, Aryabhumi. And he says that we are all Aryaputras. We are all children of the Aryas. Now what does this term Arya mean? See, I want all of you to understand one point. There is a narrative existing today in the social media also that India became a nation after the Europeans came here, after the Britishers came here. This is the kind of a wrong idea which has been sowed into the minds of the so-called Indians, and we are still confused about our identity, about who we are. Especially youngsters, I would appeal to you that if you really want to know the roots of this great nation, if you really want to understand what India is, you have to read Vivekananda. We have no other option. I'm telling you, we have no other option. If you go by reading some Westerners' books and the different so-called narratives given by intellectuals of the present times, it is only adding to the confusion. If you really know if you want to know what Bharat is, where lies its roots, where lies its very soul, the soul of this land, where is Bharat's soul? If you want to know that, we have no other option other than reading Vivekananda very carefully. And especially to my dear students, I will tell you one thing. You have to read one book very religiously, and that book is Lectures from Colombo to Almora. I ask all of you to please note it down. After going back from this session, you should arrange to get that book and try to read this book very religiously. If you are really a lover of this country, you will have to read that book to understand where lies the root of this country. So coming back to the main point, that Swami Vivekananda has used the term Arya several times. And what does this term Arya mean? Now, Arya means a noble human being. In Sanskrit, if somebody has to translate this term Arya, it would be, the closest and the best translation would be a Susanskrita Vyakti. A human being, a man or a woman who is Susanskrita, who is extremely civilized and cultured. A person of a very Sabhyata Vidyadibhi Devaspadatvam Praptaha Iti Arya. It says. So who is an Arya? Arya is a person who is so civilized, so noble, so good, that he almost becomes like a godlike person. The definition says that Arya means almost like a godlike man or a godlike woman. Now Swami Vivekananda refers to India as Arya Bhumi. This was the Bhumi in the past. This was a land inhabited by such godlike men and women. And that is what actually Swami Vivekananda was so proud about. Now this may sound to be a bit poetic, talking about very, what should I say, good sounding ideas. But was this a reality? Yes, it was a reality. If you go by some of the observations by these different travelers who came to India, historical travelers, we know in the 5th century and the 6th century, 7th century, 2 Chinese travelers had come to India. For Chinese travelers, they have said that in India at that time, they say that they never found here any criminal activity going on. The society is hardly having any crimes. And then he says, here nobody speaks a lie. Nobody cheats others. There is no deception anywhere. In fact, very less. Maybe some exceptions might have been there here and there. But overall the society is so high in ethical and moral sense. And one very important point we find in their writings is that they say that in those days, now see, just imagine, it's so interesting. These travelers, they have said that, you see, in those days, people, when they would go from one village to the other village, they would not lock their doors. They would be keeping their doors open. This system of locking the doors, what didn't exist at that time. Now, can we even imagine that in the today's scenario? It is unthinkable. It sounds like some poetry. But this was the fact. People would not steal anything. Even if the doors are left open, nothing would happen. But this is, even now it is existing. I have heard such things happening in the northeast, in Along and so, where I have heard from many of the sadhus who serve there in our schools, that these tribals, they are so sensitive to ethical and moral things that if some money is left in the street, no one would touch it. But what do we find in the cities and so-called overall today? Now, if that was the benchmark which Swami Vivekananda is referring to, India as a nation, a country inhabited by such godlike men and women, from there, where have we come today? That is a big point. How we have strayed away from that great standard and the benchmark which we had set. From that we have come down to this plight. Today we know what is the condition. The rampant corruption which is existing in the country today. And the most interesting thing is that in spite of this corruption, India is making progress in leaps and bounds. How is this happening? This is happening owing to a large number of good people existing even today. This progress which we are seeing in this country, it is happening owing to many ethically and morally highly sensitive people who are existing even today in this country. It is owing to their hard work that the country is making such wonderful progress. So today we have to remember that if, this is the one thing, if today we are talking about making India a Vishwa Guru. What do you mean by making India a Vishwa Guru? It is not just material prosperity which is going to make us Vishwa Guru. India has to once again become Arya Bhumi, Arya Varta, and we have to once again become Arya Putras. This land has to become free from corruption. Another one very important point which actually needs to be touched upon is, in our scriptures, there is one painting given about an ideal society. Which is that ideal society? It says that, the picturization is very beautiful. It says that, just imagine a young woman, a young, beautiful woman in the prime of her youth. She is decked in all golden ornaments and she is walking in the middle of the night on the roads of a metro city. Once again I repeat, a young, beautiful woman in the prime of her youth, decked in all golden ornaments, she is walking in the middle of the night alone in the streets of the city, and she is walking without any fear, without any scare. When the society will come to that state, that will be the ideal state of the society, where our daughters and sisters can walk in the middle of the night without having any fear of getting molested. This is that ideal state of the society which we should be aspiring for. When we keep this as the ideal, just imagine what is the condition to